Woo! Revolution is here. I am so excited to get this started. Welcome to Catalyst. This is the most special series, experience, community offer that I have had the privilege and honor to put together, to curate, to steward, and now to offer it to all of you. So I'm so excited that you are here. This is such a special day for me because I have been, like I said, just sitting with this and curating it and thinking about it and creating around it for so long. And I am just so honored that you and I are going to be in for this 7-day experience. And throughout these 7 days, this is essentially going to be a guided process that is going to walk you through all of the elements needed to completely liberate yourself from what you think marketing is, what you've been taught about it, what you've been told about it, those forced mainstream tactics and strategies and habits and ways of communicating that you think are necessary in order for you to step into a new form of marketing that is going to allow you to really shine, to showcase the full value of your gifts, and ultimately what we're all doing this for, so you can reach more people with the work and the mission that you are here to grow, right? So how do you know that revolution is upon you? Like, how do you know that this is really what you're being called into next? And I want to share some of these symptoms and see what lands with you. So one thing that I have felt and I hear being expressed to me but with clients is that you feel like there's so much more to your work and there's so much more that you do with clients than what's being expressed and translated through your content. When you look at your content, when you look at your online presence, you just kind of feel like, my gosh, there's so much more that I do. Like, I'm not just a whatever your title is. I do so much more for clients. There's so much more transformation that happens in these sessions that's not quite coming out when I market. You might also feel like you're constantly in this content hamster wheel, is what I call it. You're constantly thinking of the next thing to post. And oh my gosh, what am I going to post today? What am I going to give out today? And it's all part of this marketing culture of you have to stay consistent in order to get results, right? And you just feel like you're in this content hamster wheel and this constant anxiety of what am I going to post next, trying to keep up, but it's exhausting you. You don't enjoy it. And ultimately, you don't really feel like it's making the impact and really hitting with your community in a way that you wanted to. The next symptom or the next inclination that you are ready for the revolution is that you want to impact more people, you want to reach more people, but you just know that the way that you've been taught to market, the way that you are marketing right now, the way that you're showing up and communicating and marketing is just not, it's not doing you really a lot of favors, right? You just feel so constrained by it. You feel like it's putting parameters around who you get to show up as and how you get to communicate and how you get to express yourself. And you know that you want to do more of that. You want to step into more full expression, but you don't quite know what that could look like for you, right? The next one is a personal one. And I've come to realize that what is most personal is most universal. And what really sets the tone for change and revolution is that experience of being at your desk or being in your journal or just trying to come up with the right thing to say or have a launch coming up and you're trying to put together these content and these words and you're just like, oh my gosh, F it. Like you just want to throw your hands up and be like, F it. I am tired of this. I am tired of putting myself in these boxes. I'm tired of following these parameters. I'm tired of launching this way. I'm tired of doing all of it. And it just is a visceral F it that comes through your body. And you're just like, enough is enough. Like I am not this machine that can market the same way or in the same flow or in the same expression over and over and over again. And I just want to share that if any of these signs, experiences, feelings, thoughts resonate with you, then what that really is there's a part of your like literal soul that is crying to be let out. There is a part of you that you may not even know where it's quite coming from, but there's a part of you that knows that there's so much more to your expression. There's so much more to your brand. There's so much more to your gifts that want to be seen, and they can't come through within these rigid parameters of how we need to talk, how we need to look, how we need to market, how we need to, write posts, how we need to make offers, how we need to launch. We put so much constraint because that's what we have been told we need to do in order to be successful. And it just comes to a point where it's not sustainable because we have an assignment, we have a mission, we have a deeper calling that we are being charged to lead and to live out. And the soul ultimately wins in the end, always does, because it becomes more painful to stay within the parameters of safety and comfort and known than to take a leap and say, I don't know. I don't know what's on the other side of this, but I know that I'm done with this. I know that enough is enough. And that is exactly what we're going to do here together. We are going to dare to color outside the lines for a little bit. We are going to look at how can we start inching you into coloring outside the lines in your marketing? Because it's very easy to say that. And I know for me, there were so many times where I had that F it moment. I was like, I'm done doing this. I'm done. But then my body almost had this muscle memory when it came to marketing. I would then go into my next content session and I would write in a very similar way that I was taught. It was just that muscle memory. Or I would just start planning my next launch. And it was very similar to what I had always done in the past that I just said I was tired of, right? So that muscle memory comes in really, really heavy. And that gap is the hardest to cross sometimes. If I know I want change, I know I want a full marketing revolution from the inside out. I want to reconnect to my voice in a bigger way than ever before. I want to feel embodied in the full depth of my mission and my brand. I want to show up in a different way. I want to break outside of these parameters and let people see and feel what I'm really here to do. But then your brain asks you how. And that's the scariest part. So over the course of these 7 days, I want to not only offer you the different steps and the different elements that it takes to bridge that gap so that you can show up in a more powerful way, so that you can get your work into the hands of more people that are literally craving exactly what it is that you're offering and that you offer to the world. And I also want to invite you into very special spaces. So we are going to be meeting live as a community 2 times during this week. And if you are listening to this, or if you're hearing this on the podcast and you have not registered, make sure that you do, because everyone that registers is going to get the Zoom link. The first session is a vocal activation session. I'm going to talk more about that towards the end, but essentially this is the space where you are going to connect viscerally to your voice, your full voice, the full resonance and power of your voice in a way that you likely never have before. And through this practice, through the vocal activation technique, is how you're able to go from kind of questioning what it really is my voice, how do I really bring that to life, how do I really know what my true voice is, to knowing and embodying that, so that when you show up to market, you have this deeper rooted confidence and embodiment in who you really are. And then the second live session is going to be more strategic, more implementation, because like I said, I want this to be a real stepping stone, a real pathway forward into a marketing revolution that not only you feel, but that your audience starts to experience as well, because that is the most powerful feeling in the world, to take that step and to cross that ledge and trust fall and really go out there and express yourself and start to market differently and do things differently. and to start having that deeper connection with your audience in a way where they actually see it, they can feel it, and they can lean in deeper. So we're going to meet towards the end, or actually at the end of this experience, where we're going to be able to get into a room together, and I'm going to be able to coach you and guide you and facilitate how do you actually take this and start implementing it into your business, into your next launch, into selling your offer. And I'm really excited for that, because once you start feeling secure in how to start thinking about marketing differently in a way that you can implement it, man, it's off to the races. So I'm so excited that you are here. And I guess I should share a little bit about myself. So if this is the first time that we're meeting, hi, I'm so happy that we have been united in this way. I'm Daisy. I'm the founder of the Liberated Latina brand, which is essentially a brand that represents my own journey into finding my voice and finding my confidence and really settling into my unique expression. And the mission here is to help other women, and especially my ladies of color, my Latinas, my powerhouses out there, to settle into a deeper embodiment, come back into who it is that you truly are, own your unique gifts and your voice, and then have marketing that fully translate that without the parameters, the rigidity, the rules that are placed on us that actually diminish the impact that we're here to have. I just want to say that just the fact that I'm able to do this with you is such a testament to what liberation can look like and feel like, because I started this marketing revolution journey like really deeply and fully around actually over a year ago. So it was around May or June of last year. And I just realized, after like 4 or 5 effort moments, that I needed to start making actual shifts to how I was showing up. And I had to start making actual changes and start walking away from people and spaces and habits and comfort zones in order to start experimenting and letting myself land into how was I actually meant to lead this brand? How am I actually meant to express myself? How am I meant to connect with my community and grow my reach if it's not the way that I was taught? Because I could feel it. I could feel that there was more of me that wanted to come through. I could feel that I wasn't fully letting myself go, like, express myself and be seen. And I kept coming up against this feeling of I'm not seen, I'm not seen. I'm doing all the right things. I'm putting out the posts, I'm doing the launches, I'm doing the live streams, I'm putting out the emails, I'm doing all of the right things. I'm staying super consistent. One thing about me, I stay consistent. Like, I have been that disciplined, driven person all of my life. And it's because I have honestly believed that if I just follow the rules, give me the syllabus, give me the curriculum, give me what I got to do, I'm going to roll up my sleeves, I'm going to do it. And that's what I have attributed to being successful. And with marketing, it was no different. I just took on so many different projections and philosophies and concepts to grow my brand until I didn't even fully recognize who I was being anymore. And I just lost my shine. I lost my creativity. I just felt like a shell of myself in my own marketing, in my own business. And it was really a catalyst for me, because marketing was the catalyst for me, because for my entire life, I have been the wallflower. I have been the girl in the back of the classroom that just the thought of raising my hand, my heart was pounding. I was so afraid of speaking up and using my voice, and I knew that I had greatness within me. I knew that I had a lot to give in this life. I knew that I was going to do something big. And I know that a lot of people feel that. We just don't always let ourselves remember that or just claim that. we've lived our entire lives knowing that we had greatness within us, that we had something special about us, that we were going to do something big and different in the world. But then the world gets to us, right? And man, I was just so afraid to use my voice. I was so afraid to speak up. And there were just so many different things culturally, coming from a Cuban American upbringing. I mean, there's so many things just culturally that come in. And I mean, man, with the whole machista type of culture where you don't question the man, you don't really, speaking up sometimes is talking back and is a bad thing, and you're a bad girl and you're disrespectful. And even if talking back is expressing a need or expressing a boundary. And I had so many different experiences where I truly felt like my voice didn't matter, and I felt like I was just invisible, and I might as well just stay quiet and stay in the back of the room because that was where I was safest. And then I come into business. And then I have to market, and I am confronted with all of that wounding and all of that pain and all of those memories where I was just like, I was confronted with all of those memories of the times where my voice didn't matter. And what I was met with was, just be yourself, Daisy. Like, just, feel the fear, do it anyway, but get out there and just be yourself and be authentic. And I remember being in a coaching session when I was first starting out and saying, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Because if we think about it, how often do we get the chance to actually figure out what that is? When do we have that time and that space to do so, when we're little, we're just trying to fit in or assimilate or be palatable and be nice and be put together and be composed and be, just be palatable to everybody and not upset anybody and not take up too much space. I mean, like we don't really get the chance to figure that out. And so coming up to that breaking point of last year where I really realized that I had to stand up for me and my voice and no longer let my voice be collateral damage on the pathway to success. I could no longer sell myself out for the sake of believing that that will lead to more money. Money doesn't own me in that way. Just like when I was in corporate, I hated the feeling of feeling like somebody else was in charge of my time and my travel schedule and when I was going to be where. And I hated that, but I was doing the same thing with money and with success. And I was handing over my voice and my knowing and my full expression for the sake of money and success. And I feel like as women and as talented service providers and as a community, especially again, as women of color, we can no longer stand to let our voices be collateral damage. We can no longer stand on that boundary of, I'll be whoever you want me to be as long as I'm successful. This is the wave of leaders that say, I'm going to be successful by being who I fully am. Because the ultimate form of success is the moment that we say yes to our original assignment of being placed on this earth and being guided to open this business and start this brand in this way. Of course, success will come. Of course, the clients will come. Of course, the money will come, but that comes as a byproduct of no longer being available to be silenced, diminished, or stay in hiding any longer. So if it wasn't already obvious, today we're talking a lot about voice. And voice is something that is so often talked about within marketing conversations, right? We hear brand voice. We hear about writing with your unique voice. We talk about marketing authentically. These are all buzzwords that tend to come up quite a bit when we talk about marketing, but not often are we given the space, the tools, the guidance, the pathway to be able to figure out, okay, what is that for me? What does that look like for me? What does that sound like for me? How does that translate into my marketing? And that gap is just big enough for us to then spiral into doubt and then try on everyone else's interpretation of what our voice should be. That gap is just big enough for us to say, you know what? I don't know what that is. I can't really figure out how I'm supposed to figure out what that is. So you figure it out for me. You write my copy for me. You chat GPT, tell me what my voice is. And it essentially opens the door for our marketing to be the channel where we lose the seat of our leadership. Which brings us to what's happening in the industry today. And so many people are talking about how, the coaching industry is shifting and the online service-based industry is changing, and what used to work is no longer working. And so many people are marketing and launching in the same way as before. And it worked marvelously before, and it's not quite working anymore. And everyone's kind of questioning, like, is the coaching industry really still growing? Are people even investing in coaching? What's happening? And I think that is really a byproduct of marketing taking on a different misaligned role in all of our businesses. Because marketing became something that you get right, and because marketing became this space where we have to all find the right answer, and hey, this person has the exact right way for me to show up, so let me just try that on. And instead of being led into a space where we can actually tap into and experience what our voice is, marketing was just this face, this curated, performative space that everyone kind of had the same iteration of it one way or another. And what that then caused was people coming into spaces and being like, wait a second, that marketing that I saw isn't really who I'm experiencing you to be. And that doesn't mean that the experience of that person or who that person is wrong. It just wasn't being shown, right? The fullness of that person and what their gifts really are, and who they really are as a facilitator and as a coach, wasn't being seen out there. And everyone's kind of saying the same things and doing it the same way. And people now have a lack of trust, because what they are seeing out there, they now have evidence of investing to be in a space, and something's not quite lining up. Tell me if you've had that experience before. I have had that experience before, where I've invested in something and the marketing seemed pretty good and the promises felt clear, and I thought I knew what I was investing in. And then I get into the space, I'm like, wait a second. What? And again, like, it's all lessons learned for everybody involved. For me as the client, it taught me a lot, right? It's actual experience. And I'm sure now as business owners, we are feeling that tension from our audience of they're not quite throwing down their credit cards like they used to, right? They got more questions. They want to know more. They want to see more. But what that is not necessarily bad. That's calling us forward. We have to now dig deeper. We can't, if we truly, and I want to call you forward, if you truly are here because you know that you're meant to impact more people, and you know that the same old mainstream way of marketing is not fulfilling you, and it's not really doing what it needs to do in your business tangibly, but it also just feels like complete crap, then this is a good thing, because this is our opportunity to step into a more physically embodied, authentic expression of who we are. We have to first figure out what that is, right? And then express it through our marketing, use marketing as the catalyst, the channel to be able to show that in a tangible way to people. That's the true power of marketing. And that's what we've forgotten. Now we're working with that tension of our audience has more questions. they are a little skeptical. They've had bad experience where the marketing that they saw on the outside was not matching the experience and the promises and the delivery of what they experienced on the inside. And now added an additional layer that already with that skepticism brewing and that disconnection brewing, now we're adding in artificial intelligence tools. And now we have a whole new climate of marketing where people are like, did you write this or did a robot write this? And listen, I'm not here to say AI is a bad thing. I actually think that we can use it in innovative ways, but no machine can be a supplement or take the place of you being in full integrity and in full embodiment of your voice. Because if that's the case, then we're back to square one. We are just going to have another season of machines doing our marketing and clients just trickling in, because especially as service providers, it's human with humans or human with human in your one-on-one. It's not human with ChatGPT. So it's a really interesting time where the leaders of today and tomorrow are going to need something a little different to be able to cut through the regurgitation and what I call the sea of sameness. Because if ChatGPT is giving you that response, it's probably giving that to somebody else in one way or another, somebody else in your niche. So we, again, can no longer have our voices be collateral damage. The vulnerable part to this is that not a lot of people want to put in the effort required to rise into full ownership of their voice, because the marketing scene has also made it seem like content and branding and marketing and connecting with your audiences and growing your reach is supposed to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Everything is about it taking you 10 minutes a month. What depth are you going to create with your community with 10 minutes a month? And again, I'm not here to call you out. I'm here to call you forward. I'm here to call you forward, because the desire to just jump straight into ease is actually a distraction, and it's keeping us all more hidden and more diminished. What's really going to drive people to want to lean in, what's really going to mobilize a movement through your content is your voice. Marketing needs you. Marketing needs your voice in order to work properly, in order to be effective, in order to create a tangible, physical, profound change in someone, that they emotionally invest with your brand and what you're standing for, what your gifts are, that then leads them to want to invest financially. So let's talk about what the full function and power of your voice really is, and why that is such an irreplaceable and so crucial element to marketing. Because I know when we think marketing, we think using the right words and the right messaging and the right color palette and the right aesthetic and the right branding and the right graphics. We think of all the external things, right? Like I said before, marketing needs your voice in order to do anything, because your marketing is meant to move what? To move who? Humans. You don't market to satisfy a platform. You don't market to satisfy the algorithm. What do you really market for? Why do you talk about what you do? To impact humans, to touch humans, to stop the scroll, to reach out and come into contact with another human and create a memorable experience so that they want to come in and further engage in your brand. And they want to be part of what you're doing through it. And they want to be part of your movement, and they want to share it with other people, and they want to tell other people about what you're doing, and they want to support you, and they want to, come on in and maybe work with you in this way, and then later work with you in that way and stay in your space. So what moves humans? What is the function of your voice in that? Your voice has a resonance to it, right? Your voice has a certain tone. It works off of vibrations. If you were to hum to yourself, you could feel the vibrations in your body, in your throat. And that energy is something that no machine can replicate. And that resonance, when people say that, oh my gosh, your content really resonated with me, is because you're using your expression and your voice, whether that's spoken or written or visual or whatever it is, you're using your expression and your creativity to connect with somebody so deeply that it moves them forward. It moves them in deeper. So if we don't have resonance, if there's no resonance, then there's no connection. And if there's no connection, what's the point of marketing? Marketing then becomes busy work. It just becomes a graphic with a lifespan of 48 hours on the Instagram algorithm, right? But what we're doing here together over the next 7 days, and what I want to remind you of, is that we're not here to stay on a hamster wheel of creating content that only lives for 48 hours. We started this thing because we felt such a deep call from our creator to do something in the world, to offer something in the world, to use our gifts in a way that can be expressed and serve and be seen and be ingested and be implemented in other lives. We're here because we felt called to create something bigger than ourselves. I call that legacy. That's legacy. When we sign up to create something bigger than ourselves, bigger than an algorithm, bigger than a 48-hour piece of content, you're entering into legacy territory. And that's the bigness that drove you to open this in the first place. That's the bigness that led you to put yourself out there on these platforms that can reach the entire world. That's what you're doing this for. To be in service to the people, to connect with people, to create a whole new pathway, a whole new possibility in the lives of people. So we need your voice on board. Your voice is part of this process. And the reason why I have used somatic exercises and what I call vocal activation technique is because we can no longer stay satisfied with letting other people figure out what that voice is, or letting ourselves sacrifice that. I wanted to offer every single visionary, every single big thinker, every single talented service provider, coach, healer, consultant who has a big mission on their heart. I want you to come and have an unforgettable experience and contact with your voice. Because once you feel that, you can't unfeel it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you experience it, you can't unknow about it. You can't undo who you become. And when we come into more integrity and deeper integrity with our voice, then we can start looking at marketing in a different way. We know what smallness then feels like. We know what limitation then feels like. We know what it feels like when we're not coming into our businesses and coming to speak to our communities in full ownership of what we're really doing this for. And in my opinion, if we're not showing up in full allegiance and in full alliance with the voice that we were given to communicate this with, what's the point? Somebody else can do it. But the fact is that you were given the idea for this brand. You were given the idea for this business. So marketing can no longer be what somebody else tells you that it should be. Marketing now needs to be an ode and an expression of the type of person, leader, brand owner, visionary that you were here to be. So tomorrow, we're entering into a room where you're going to be guided through vocal activation technique. You are going to be guided through this somatic, which is essentially a body-led experience, where we are going to come into contact with all of the different layers or beliefs that keep your voice from fully being at the forefront of your expression. Yes, in your business, but how we do one thing is how we do everything, right? So it's likely even running in the background and keeping you small in other areas of your life. And through this process, your body is going to show you and actually partner with you to alchemize all of those beliefs, all of those areas of vocal wounding, so that you can get underneath that and feel and hear and experience the actual living and breathing embodiment of what it feels like to be in your full voice. So I would not miss it. I would not miss it. This is the first time that I am facilitating the full vocal activation technique live for a group. And this is going to be something that is very rarely going to be given out free, because I have a very special space that is going to house this approach to marketing and those flows and those vocal activation techniques, and all of my somatic marketing processes are going to be really centered in that house. So I would not miss it. If you are signed up, if you registered for this series, you will be receiving an email, if you haven't already, with the Zoom link where you can meet us, and just come in comfy clothes with a lot of space to move. Soundproof headphones, so we call them soundproof headphones, and just come open and ready to come into contact with your voice in an unforgettable way. Let me know what were your biggest takeaways from day one. We're just getting started. This is just the level setting point. This is just a little taste into what we're going to get into over the next 7 days. We're going to go into messaging and what it really means to approach messaging in a way that doesn't just lead to likes and comments, but that actually mobilizes a bigger group of people behind your movement, behind your brand, and also showcases the full range of your gifts and your genius in a more holistic way. So that feeling of like people aren't really getting what I can really do for them, or people aren't really understanding the full extent of my gifts, this obliterates that. And then we're going to go into actual marketing strategy. How do we start looking at marketing differently through the lens of who you are meant to be and who you are as a human, as an energy, as a brand owner? And how do we start innovating how you use different marketing strategies so that you can market more powerfully, you can market with more of your expression and energy behind it, but also market more sustainably so that you're able to grow deeper momentum through your content every single time you show up, every single time you post. So we got a lot to cover, but I'm so excited to be going through this week-long journey with you. And be sure to hit me up on Instagram at The Liberated Latina. Share that you're watching, share what your biggest takeaways are. If you know of somebody that you're like, you gotta be in on this, invite them to the party. And I'll see you all in the next video. Marketing is one of the first experiences, for me, it was the first experience where we come up against what I call our vocal wounding, and we care about something deeply enough that we're willing to come to terms with it. We're willing to start turning towards it and facing it and working with it and through it. What I mean by vocal wounding is really a term that I use to describe all of the different ways throughout our entire life, oftentimes stemming from childhood, right? Where our vocalization, our expression, our communication, our creativity were compromised. where maybe we had experiences where we were a child that was just so creative and so expressed and just wanted to dance and laugh and run around. And we were told, stop, you're being too much. Go play in the corner. Stop. Be quiet. That creates vocal wounding because you just had an experience that told you that your expression was wrong. Or maybe you were told things like, little girls, good girls should be seen and not heard. Or, you're respectful if you stay quiet. You're respectful if you stay silent. Or maybe you were told that, you can't be too much. If you're too much, if you're too loud, if you're too confident, you're going to make other people feel bad. And how dare you do that? So just stay small. All of these different experiences, on top of all of the experiences where maybe we did choose to speak up, maybe we did choose to set a boundary, maybe we did choose to raise our hand and say, hey, this isn't right, or hey, I don't think this should be, or hey, I have a different perspective here, and you were met with resistance, or you were given the cold shoulder by a family member because you dared to speak up. Like, not to mention all of those adult or teenager experiences, these all come in and get cemented into our bodies as memories, and as like this trapped protective barrier of, it's not safe for me to be fully expressed. It's not safe for me to use my voice. In addition to all of like the cultural innuendos of what a fully expressed woman really is to the world. Because I think we get a lot of narrative of a man's allowed to be really expressed in his anger and really, confident and like out there and voice his opinions and get in people's faces. Like, that's fine. But a woman, how dare she? Right? She starts getting the look of like, who does she think she is? Or she's, bossy, or she's a bitch or whatever. There's just so many mixed messages culturally and societally of what it really means for a woman to be fully expressed, whether she's a little girl or a full-blown woman. There's just so many different messages, as well as our own lived experiences, that cause this type of vocal wounding. And what tends to happen is that we internalize those experiences. We don't have the tools, the space, the guidance, the know-how, the luxury of being able to feel that and process that all the way through. So it becomes stuck in the body. And when it becomes stuck in the body, it's essentially stuck emotion, right? Emotion is energy in motion, just becomes stuck in our bodies. And when we go to market, when we go to put ourselves out there, when we go to do a live, when we go to launch and talk about our offers, you feel that brick in your throat, or you feel the butterflies in your stomach, or you feel the blood rush to your cheeks, and you feel like your fight or flight response is activated, right? All of that are simply indications that our body hasn't fully received any safety in order to allow us to understand what our full voice really is. Because it's not that we're not powerful. It's not that you don't know how to market. It's not that you don't know how to communicate. It's not that you don't know how to talk about what you loved so much that you started a whole business around it. All of that is story. All of that is story. The truth is that we haven't allowed proper space and guidance for all of those vocal woundings in your body, in your mind, and your awareness to be alchemized in a way where it feels safe for you to unleash and tap into the full power of your voice. You're afraid of your power. You're not afraid of the limiting stories that your mind keeps offering you, because you know that's not true. Because if you really believed it was true, you wouldn't be here. Again, I'm calling you forward. I'm calling you forward because you deserve it, because your mission is worth it, because your clients are worth it, and because God is worth it. Because your creator sent you to do this work. And let's not even insult him with the belief that you're not cut out to talk about this mission that is so deeply implanted in your heart. You know that's not true. You're more afraid of what happens when I actually do own my full voice. When I find what my voice is, I know I'm going to want to step into it more fully. I'm going to want to really dress up in it. I'm going to want to drink that in. I'm going to want to share that. And what will that make me? How will that impact this person? What will these people think? Who will I have to lose in the process? There's a lot of additional safety that we have to feel in order for us to come into contact with our voice. And this is why what I call this process of vocal reclamation and vocal healing is left out of the picture. I feel like when we talk about marketing, I've been scratching my brain, just considering like, why is this seen as something separate or sometimes not even seen as part of the story of marketing? Because for me, I couldn't market when I was just so petrified. My whole body was fighting against the idea of putting myself out there, of putting myself out and alive, or doing these different collaborations or speaking. Girl, my body was in full fight or flight mode, and I couldn't understand why this type of deeper consideration and healing wasn't part of the picture. And it's because there are a lot of deeper layers that we have to address in order for us to really talk about you marketing like the revolutionary that you are. For us to really talk about innovative marketing, we have to address all of these deeper layers, but that's not sexy to sell. So what they're going to sell you is that template that's going to convert $10,000 worth of sales in the next 30 days. What they want to sell you is go live every day for 60 days and say these things and say these words and do it this way, and you'll make $10,000. But the full picture is that even when we're given what to do and what to say, it doesn't end up being sustainable. Because I've been down that path too. Again, I'm not calling you out because I've been through all of this. I am not immune, or I am not separate from all of these different experiences. I am a testament of it all. I am not immune, and I have had to take on this humility to come down and kneel in front of these deeper issues. But this is what's required to market in a truly revolutionary way. This is what is required of us if we are looking ahead and thinking about, how do I lead in this next evolution? How do I lead a movement? How do I reach more people with my work? And how do I do that without sacrificing myself? We have to be willing to go into these deeper layers so that then marketing can be a celebration of what we have found and what we have reclaimed and what we are willing to step into as brand owners and as facilitators and as healers and as coaches and as women.